Suzy was a young boy when he committed a horrifying crime. He murdered 2 girls and cruelly sent their body parts to their parents. Now, after 18 years, he has been released from prison. He appeared on TV, crying and saying he was deeply sorry and wanted to apologize to the victims' families. But the truth was, Suzy hadn't changed at all. His tears were fake, just another act for the cameras. One day, when he reached his apartment, he saw a huge crowd gathered outside, angry and demanding justice. To avoid the chaos, Suzy slipped into a quiet, dark alley and tried to call his lawyer for help. While he was making the call, someone suddenly appeared behind him and knocked him out. When Suzy woke up, he found himself tied to a chair. In front of him was a TV playing a horror film, The Exorcist. His kidnapper was Chief Dam, who was just a normal investigator. Chief Dam stepped forward with a chainsaw and said, "Around 80,000 people go missing every year in Japan without a trace. If you disappear, no one will bother looking for you." With that, he turned on the chainsaw and slowly began cutting into Suzy's arm. Suzy screamed in pain, blood pouring from the wound. He asked if Chief Dam was doing this for revenge or for money. Chief Dam simply replied, "I just want to do something good." Suzy eventually passed out from the intense pain and blood loss. When he regained consciousness, he was placed in front of a mirror. What he saw shocked him. Both his arms and legs were gone. Chief Dam stood beside him and showed him a Christmas tree, made from Suzy's own severed legs. Then, Chief Dam took a photo of him. Moments later, Suzy died from blood loss and unbearable pain. Yasuno was just a college student when she went out with her classmates for a party. At the party, they played a batsu game, where the loser had to drink a glass of beer. Unfortunately, Yasuno lost and had to drink. After she got drunk, boys took her to a hotel room and did horrible things to her while she was barely conscious. When Yasuno woke up, she filed a case against them. But soon after, she was forced to drop it. They threatened to leak her video if she didn't stay quiet. Chief Dam found out about this through a fellow worker, and the moment his eyes twitched, it was clear someone was going to die. Later, a boy named Ayuma joined Ikwaki's group. Ikwaki's group was made up of some college boys who helped others lose their virginity, no matter how dark the method. Ayuma was desperate and wanted to try something wild. So Ikwaki repeated the same thing he did to Yasuno. They kidnapped another girl and gave Ayuma a chance to do as he pleased. But there was a condition. If Ayuma ever found a girl he liked, he had to share her with the group. Eventually, Ayuma fell in love with a coworker. Because of that, he decided to leave the group and live a normal life with her. He informed Ikwaki, got his permission, and left, promising never to expose anything. But one night, while walking with his girlfriend, a van pulled up and kidnapped them both. It was all part of Ikwaki's plan, to teach Ayuma what happens to those who betray him. Right in front of Ayuma, Ikwaki and his gang abused his girlfriend. Afterward, broken and devastated, she tried to end her life, but failed. When Ayuma found out what had happened, he lost control. He stormed into the group's hideout with a hammer and killed every last one of them. Ikwaki tried to escape, but Chief Dam appeared and blocked his way. Later, Ikwaki woke up in a dark place. He was naked and tied to a table. Chief Dam stood before him, holding a cross covered in sharp spikes. Without hesitation, he inserted it into Ikwaki's hole and thrust it in and out, over 650 times. In the end, Ikwaki died from the unbearable pain and blood loss. This man is Masaharu, a self-righteous journalist. One day, he showed up at a house holding a microphone. A frightened woman opened the door. Masaharu had come because her son had committed a mass murder. Without knowing the full truth, Masaharu falsely reported on live television that the woman had abused her son and that her mistreatment had turned him into a killer. Though none of it was true, Masaharu spread the story everywhere. Unable to cope with the judgment and hate from society, the woman ended her own life. She also had a daughter. The girl was seen crying, clutching her mother's photo, when Masaharu arrived again, this time insulting her mother, calling her a poison who raised a murderer. At school, another situation was unfolding. A group of girls was bullying their math teacher, and the leader of this group was Masaharu's daughter. One day, the teacher, pushed to the edge, accidentally shoved her in self-defense. Soon after, Masaharu stormed into the school and accused the teacher of physical abuse. Even without solid proof, he broadcast the story live, demanding strict punishment. Because of the public outrage, the teacher was harassed non-stop outside his home. Overwhelmed and hopeless, he killed his wife, and then took his own life. Later, it was discovered that the teacher had left behind clear evidence on his laptop, showing how he was being bullied by students. When this was revealed to the public, the same girl who had led the bullying, Masaharu's daughter, was now being labeled a murderer. Crushed by the hate, she eventually ended her life too. When Chief Dam learned that Masaru only reported one-sided stories and misused his position, his eyes twitched. You know what that means. One day, while Masaru was driving, Chief Dam kidnapped him. When Masaru woke up, he found himself tied to a chair with Chief Dam standing in front of him. Without saying a word, Chief Dam poured acid onto Masaru's face. Then, he forced him to drink acid, which burned his throat and silenced his voice forever. Masaru died in agony, drowning in pain. One day, Chief Dam was commuting to work by train. On board was a man named Oga, someone who deeply hated both children and women. During the ride, a young mother stood nearby holding her crying baby. Annoyed by the noise, Oga began criticizing the woman, accusing her of being inconsiderate and disturbing everyone. Chief Dam, however, stepped in and called the baby cute, saving the woman from public embarrassment. Later at work, when Oga received a cup of tea from a female coworker, he made an inappropriate joke, saying she should use her own milk next time. The women in the office reported the incident, and Oga received a stern warning from his boss to watch his behavior. Angry and bitter, Oga walked home through a crowded street. As he moved through the people, he purposely bumped into several women, insulting them and spreading hateful comments. He even shoved into a woman pushing a stroller, forcing her to apologize to him as if she had done something wrong. The next day on the train, a similar scene repeated. Another mother was standing with her baby strapped to her chest. As she was about to get off, Oga secretly loosened the strap on her baby carrier, trying to make the child fall onto the tracks. Luckily, the mother managed to catch her baby just in time, but she was injured in the process. Right behind Oga was Chief Dam. His eyes twitched. You all know what that means. Later that evening, Oga went to a bar, ranting about how women shouldn't have rights and spouting nonsense. Chief Dam sat silently beside him. Not long after, Oga began to feel lightheaded, but still boarded the train home. On the train, a pregnant woman was standing. Oga figured no one would offer her a seat, but a kind woman did stand up to give her the spot. Before the pregnant woman could sit, Oga rushed in and took the seat himself. Soon after, he passed out from the dizziness. When Oga woke up, the train was completely empty, except for Chief Dam, watching him from the shadows. Moments later, Oga found himself tied up inside a baby stroller, placed on a narrow railway bridge. Chief Dam stood next to him, fastening the rope securely. Oga cried and begged for forgiveness, swearing he'd change, but it was already too late. Chief Dam pushed him off the bridge. Then, using a safety rope, Chief Dam jumped down too, and took Oga's picture midair. Oga hit the rocks below, and died instantly. Naoki was a young man who posted videos on social media, doing challenges like buying the entire menu from a restaurant. Despite his efforts, his videos never gained much attention, unlike other successful channels. Please subscribe, guys, he would say, hoping for a boost. One day, while driving, Naoki witnessed a tragic accident. A school student was killed on the road. Instead of calling for help, Naoki whipped out his camera and began recording. Although the accident was clearly an unfortunate mistake, Naoki uploaded the video, falsely claiming that the old man driving the car had done it on purpose. The video went viral, bringing him instant fame. To keep the momentum going, Naoki even went to the old man's house, hoping to get more footage. But when he arrived, the man wasn't home. Undeterred, Naoki still uploaded a video, urging his followers to spread more hatred. Soon, other influencers began showing up at the old man's house, hoping to either capture footage or stir up more hate. One day, Naoki returned to the old man's house. Police officers stopped him, asking him to leave. But Naoki insisted on continuing to record and even accused the police of trying to stop him for the sake of their own fame. Chief Dam was at the police station and overheard the conversation. He asked about Naoki, and after hearing the full story, his eyes twitched. Someone was about to die. Later, on a train, a girl accused a man of touching her inappropriately. Naoki, of course, started recording, calling the man a pervert. The man, clearly panicked, ran and tried to hide his face. In his haste, he accidentally jumped in front of a train and was instantly killed. Naoki captured the entire scene on camera and posted it, earning even more attention and popularity. The more graphic, the better for Naoki's views. It was later revealed that Naoki had paid the girl to falsely accuse the man, all for the sake of creating shocking content. That night, Naoki received a mysterious CD delivered to his doorstep. He played the video, expecting something random. But when he saw Chief Dam dancing on the screen, his blood ran cold. The video was filmed at Naoki's own house. Suddenly, Chief Dam appeared in person, standing before Naoki. Like every influencer says, "Thanks for watching," he said coldly. Naoki woke up in a dark place, the camera still recording him. Chief Dam then drove a car toward him. The tires, spiked with sharp metal, crushed Naoki's legs. Screaming in pain, Naoki saw the horrifying scene live on a large screen. Everything was being broadcast. But Chief Dam wasn't done. He returned to the car and crushed Naoki's limbs, one by one. Despite all the pain, Naoki was still alive, enduring the agony. Finally, Chief Dam set him on fire, ending Naoki's suffering in the most brutal way possible. These three boys, Tasano, Tamutsu, and Takashi, were out with three girls. They all stopped by a local store to grab some snacks and buy fireworks for the evening. While inside, Tamutsu casually opened a drink and started sipping it before paying. The store had a simple rule: pay before you consume. The manager politely reminded them of this. But instead of just apologizing, Tamutsu got offended, accusing the manager of calling them thieves. The group mocked the poor man, humiliated him, and even forced him to apologize for simply doing his job. Later, they all went to an open field and began lighting fireworks. An elderly homeless man nearby approached them and gently told them that fireworks weren't allowed in that area. As soon as the girls heard that, they decided it was getting late and left. Blaming the homeless man for ruining their night, the boys grew furious and planned to get back at him. The very next day, they found the old man's small shed and destroyed it completely. Then, without even checking, they set it on fire and walked away. When the old man returned and saw what was left, he began to cry, not over losing his shelter, but because a precious photo of his family had been inside. Later that night, the boys stumbled across another homeless person's shelter. Without a second thought, they set that one on fire too. But this time, someone was still inside, fast asleep. The man suffered severe burns in the fire. The following day, the three boys were walking through a quiet alley when they crossed paths with the old man whose shelter they had destroyed. Recognizing them instantly, the old man confronted them, accusing them of the act. Panicking, the boys did the unthinkable. They attacked and killed him. They took his body deep into the mountains, intending to bury the evidence. Coincidentally, Chief Dam was nearby in the same forest, gathering mushrooms. Suddenly, the old man's dog ran up to him, whining and tugging at his clothes. Following the dog, Chief Dam was led straight to the fresh grave where the boys had buried the old man. Unaware, the boys were making their way back down the mountain when a thick fog suddenly engulfed them. They fell unconscious, and when they woke up, they were tied up, completely unable to move. Standing in front of them was Chief Dam, this time with an excavator by his side. Without saying much, he began operating the machine, using it to bury the boys alive, slowly and deliberately. Even as they cried, begged, and screamed for forgiveness, Chief Dam didn't flinch. To him, this was justice. Another good deed done. This guy is Fuwa, who is an active dad commentator. He gives good advice for parents, like dad should also change baby's diapers and also help mother to raise the baby property. He gives many interviews like this and also has many fans. Of course, all of them are women or mothers. Fuwa also has a wife and 2 children. He always uses them as examples in his interviews, saying how he helps his wife in raising children. But it turns out that Fuwa is not someone people think him to be. He has another female with whom he is in a sexual relationship. After that, when he was about to go home, he accidentally dropped his handkerchief. Coincidentally, Chief Dam was also there with his dog. He picked up the handkerchief and went to Fuwa to give it back to him. But he thought that Chief Dam is just his fan who is here for an autograph. So, he gave him the signed copy of his book and left without taking back the handkerchief that he dropped. At home, he was welcomed by his wife and kids. But he didn't respond and looked towards the food. When he saw that it's not that great, he asked his wife why she didn't cook the food properly. She answered that she had some serious period cramps. That's why she wasn't able to work properly. Hearing that, Fuwa got angry and said that she is just making excuses. He doesn't even help his wife in raising children, and if she made even a little mistake in taking care of kids, he gets angry and beats her. Today, he was out on a picnic with his family because it's weekend. He is acting good outside and taking care of his family just to show people how he works hard in the studio and also takes care of his family. Right there, he got a call from a girl named Himari. She's a girl who also used to have sexual relationships with Fuwa. She has called him to tell him that she is pregnant. Hearing that, Fuwa got really angry because when they were doing the deed, he thought that she had eaten a birth control pill. So, he met Himari and learned how she has left being an idol and is working in a convenience store to earn a little money. Hearing her story, Fuwa took out a load of money and gave it to her. He asked her to abort the baby and never contact him again. Himari took the money and left with a smile. After 10 months, when Fuwa was about to leave the studio, Himari was standing outside with her baby. She took Fua to her room to explain everything that happened. She said that she was about to abort that baby as he suggested, but when he reached the hospital, she felt the baby moving in her stomach and decided to give birth to the baby. But Fua thought that she was doing all this for money and threw a load of money at her, asking her to not come to him ever again. Himari picked up the money from the ground, which made him sure that she is doing this for money. But he got shocked to see that she was giving the money back to him. She told him that she called him here not for money, but to give the money that she took from him to abort the baby 10 months ago. Seeing that, Fua got really angry and started beating her. Filled with anger, he beat her so hard that he didn't even realize that she had died from his beating, because of which he got really scared, wondering what he should do now. In the end, he picked up the crying baby and put him in the closet. After that, he removed all of his fingerprints or his traces of being here and left the building. Next day, the body was discovered and police started investigating the scene. Chief Dam was also one of the investigators. Fortunately, the baby was rescued from the closet and survived. After some days of searching, the case was going nowhere because there's no evidence who committed this crime. One day, Fua was talking about this incident in an interview, saying how bad this incident is and blah blah. But suddenly, Fua talked about how the baby was found in the closet. These words of his made Chief Dam's eye twitch. This happened because police or investigators never told anyone that the baby was rescued from the clothes. In the next moment, a ninja appeared in Fua's resting room and kidnapped him. When Fua woke up, he was in a water tank completely tied up. The tank was filling up slowly with water. In front of him was the Chief Dam standing. After a little, Chief Dam stopped the water because the tank was almost filled. When Fua asked Chief Dam why he's doing this to him, he answered that he had tortured and murdered Himari. When the Chief Dam was about to start pouring in the water again, Fua himself admitted all his crime. It turns out that Chief Dam also knows how Fua abused his wife physically and kids mentally. When Fua asked him if he was doing this for revenge, he said that he's just a cop, a killer cop. With that, Chief Dam opened up the water supply, which caused him to drown. In the end, Chief Dam took Fua's final picture and completed the punishment. After that, all the crimes of Fua started coming up on TV, and everyone learned how bad of a person he was. Some days later, Chief Dam went to a mountain with his team to enjoy vacations. There, his colleague asked him about his girl type. Chief Dam answered that he was once in love. He said every time he saw his love, his heart started beating intensely. His colleague asked him about what his love is doing now. Chief Dam answered that his love died in a crime. In a nearby room, a chairman of some big company was bullying one of his employees. When Chief Dam and his team heard the noises, they immediately went to that room and arrested everyone. Unfortunately, the chairman ran away in the forest. But this was his biggest mistake, as Chief Dam found him and shot him with a face gun. This causes him to sleep off of the mountain, because of which he died. After that, when Chief Dam and his team was going back, he looked toward his hands and said, "Oh my love, I wish I could have killed you myself." Nanam is a high school student who really loves his teacher because he is handsome, but she thought that she ugly and he'll never love her. As today is Valentine's Day, Nanami left a chocolate with a note on which her number is written inside his table. At night, when Nanami was thinking that she'll never get a message from Takamura, a message arrived on her phone. When she checked, it was Takamura thanking her for the chocolate. From that moment onward, they both started messaging each other like they were lovers. But one day, Takamura asked her to send nudes. At first, she was shocked seeing the message, but in the end, she sent him. But Takamura's demand kept on getting worse and worse. One day, when Nanami checked Takamura's computer in school, she was shocked to see that there were many folders with different girls' names. It turns out Takamura has already done the same thing with many other girls, trapping them with his sweet talks and then getting their naked photos. Seeing the situation, Nanami reminds him that he called her different from other girls. So Takamura said that he was just trapping her to get her photos and also called them ugly. She can't even do anything because Nanami's mom works in a hotel that is owned by Takamura's brother. If she reports him to the police, he will kick her mom out of the work. Hearing all that, she got so heartbroken that he went to a mountain to commit suicide. Meanwhile, Chief Dam was also on the same mountain. And guess what? He's here to buy this whole mountain. Now we know how he gets space and money to punish all the criminals up until now. Bro is damn rich. Suddenly, Nanami jumped from the cliff. Chief Dam saw that and jumped in the river to save her. After surviving, Nanami asked him if he's an angel. Chief Dam answered that he might be a demon. With that, Nanami was taken to the hospital where her mom thanked Chief Dam for saving her daughter. Right then, Takamura also came running to the hospital asking about the health of Nanami. In the room, when Nanami tried to find her phone in which all her photos are, she wasn't able to find it. Meanwhile, Chief Dam and Takamura were talking. When Takamura asked him where he's headed, he said that he's going to Tokyo. Unfortunately, the road was blocked and it will stay like that for 2 to 3 days. So, Takamura showed generosity and asked Chief Dam to stay in his brother's hotel for that time. In the hotel's bar, Takamura was talking to his brother about everything he did until now. And the phone that Nanami lost is also with Takamura. He talked about everything that he did to Nanami and other girls. Coincidentally, Nanami's mom, who was here for her work, heard their conversation and talked to them. She said that she will report to the police and left. But there's someone else who also heard everything. And that someone is Chief Dam. When he heard everything, his eyes twitched. At night, Takamura was going to the school because he had to remove all the evidence from his computer. When he reached there and turned on the computer to do so, an anatomy dummy moved and kidnapped Takamura. He woke up on a mountain where Chief Dam was burning marshmallows. Chief Dam gave him 2 choices. First is folk dancing and second is burning to death. Hearing the choices, Takamura started shouting angrily. In the end, he ran out of time without giving any answer. So, Chief Dam brought gasoline and poured some of it on Takamura. With that, he tied him with a chair and brought him to the end of the cliff. Now Takamura realized that Chief Dam will not listen to his normal begging. He started saying that his dad will give him a lot of money if he'll let him. But Chief Dam said that he doesn't work like that, and also reveals that he is doing this because he overheard what they were saying in the bar. With that, Chief Dam put the guy on fire and asked him to jump in the river if he wanted to survive. But when Takamura jumped down, he died after hitting a rock. In the end, Chief Dam just danced majestically. Yuruma entered the school with one goal, revenge. But before acting, he wanted to see if his bullies had changed or if they were still the same cruel people. Surprisingly, one of them, Madoka, started acting friendly. He spent time with Yuruma, treating him like a real friend. For a while, Yuruma thought maybe Madoka had changed. But one day, everything became clear. Madoka had only been pretending. It was all a trap. He kidnapped Yuruma, along with a girl who was somewhat close to him. Now, both of them were tied to chairs, completely at Madoka's mercy. Madoka did everything he could to make Yuruma scream, inflicting pain in every way he could think of, but Yuruma remained silent. He had already endured far worse suffering. Frustrated, Madoka decided to strangle him. As his grip tightened around Yuruma's neck, something unexpected happened. Yuruma managed to break free. In an instant, the situation flipped. Yuruma overpowered Madoka, knocking him unconscious. When Madoka woke up, he found himself tied up and hanging. Yuruma stood before him, calm but merciless. "Congratulations," he said. "You're the first." He picked up an air gun, the same type Madoka had once used to torment him. Then, he held up a mirror. Madoka's eyes widened in horror. His skin had been peeled off. Even the slightest touch would bring unbearable pain. Yuruma pressed against the exposed flesh, making Madoka scream in agony. Without hesitation, he fired the air gun. Madoka writhed in unbearable pain until, at last, his body went still. Yuruma stared at his lifeless form. This was only the beginning. Now, it was Ushiro's turn. Yuruma asked around the school about him, but to his surprise, everyone described Ushiro as a kind and cool guy. Then, a girl mentioned something interesting. Ushiro had a girlfriend named Karen. They were happy together until one day, Karen suddenly disappeared. After that, Ushiro fell into deep depression and eventually left the school. But the truth was far from what people believed. Elsewhere, Ushiro entered a dimly lit room, carrying food in his hands. Inside, Karen sat in terrible conditions, weak, exhausted, and trapped. Ushiro hadn't lost her. He had kidnapped her. Now knowing the truth, Yuruma set his plan into motion. It took time, effort, and careful planning, but in the end, he succeeded. Ushiro was captured. And now, the second act of revenge began. Ushiro woke up, tied to a chair, completely naked. Yuruma stood before him, holding a strange-looking device. He calmly explained that it was a medieval torture device. When the key was turned, the device would slowly expand, like an opening umbrella. Then, Yuruma revealed something else. Beneath Ushiro's chair was a hole. Without hesitation, he inserted the device through it, and began turning the key. Pain surged through Ushiro's body as the device opened inside him, stretching and tearing him apart from the inside. His screams filled the room, but Yuruma remained unmoved. And this was only the beginning. For the second round, Karen entered the room, her expression empty. The girl who had once loved Ushiro now saw him as the reason her life was ruined. In her hands, she held a smaller version of the same device. Without a word, she placed it in the hole at the base of Ushiro's most sensitive flesh. Then, she turned the key. The pain was beyond anything Ushiro had ever imagined. His body convulsed as unbearable agony consumed him. And then, with one final twist, his body could take no more. His meat burst apart, and his life ended in excruciating pain. Karen stared at his lifeless body. Her suffering had ended, but so had her purpose. Moments later, she took her own life. Now, it was Kuji's turn. Kuji hadn't changed at all. He was still the same cruel bully, going around tormenting weaker students just for fun. One day, Yuruma met a girl who had also been a victim of the same people who had ruined his life. She reminded him of the time he had helped her when they were just kids. Because of that, she genuinely loved Yuruma and wanted to stay by his side. Not long after, during the school festival, Yuruma and the other students were waiting for Shikagawa, who was supposed to take part in their school play. But something felt off. When she didn't show up, Yuruma's instincts told him something was wrong. He stepped outside to look for her, and soon found her in a dark alley, her clothes torn, her body trembling. It didn't take long to realize what had happened. Kuji had attacked her, punishing her simply because she had gotten in his way. Seeing her like that, something inside Yuruma snapped. He wouldn't let this go. That same night, Yuruma sent a letter to Kuji, challenging him to come to his house. Kuji, confident that he could take Yuruma down, arrived without hesitation. But it was a trap. By the time he realized it, it was too late. He was bound tightly, lying on a cold stone table, both his hands and feet secured. Yuruma stood over him, silent but resolute. In his hands was a small device, a medieval thumb crusher. He placed it over Kuji's thumbs and slowly turned the key. The metal pressed down, squeezing the bones inch by inch. Kuji's screams filled the room as unbearable pain shot through his hands. When both his thumbs were completely crushed, Yuruma loosened the ropes and walked away. Seeing his chance, Kuji tried to run. But the moment he took a step, he collapsed. Confused, he looked down. His toes were broken. He couldn't stand, let alone escape. Before he could process what was happening, Yuruma grabbed him again and secured him to a massive wooden wheel. The ropes tied around his hands and feet connected to the wheel in such a way that if it turned, his limbs would be stretched until they tore apart. Yuruma grasped the handle and began to turn. The tension increased with every rotation. Kuji screamed, his body straining against the force pulling him apart. The pain was unbearable. Desperate, he cried out for help. Q, help me. Q, the leader of the bullies. The one who had tormented Yuruma the most. And then, as if answering his call, Q appeared. Kuji's eyes widened in relief. He thought Q had come to save him. But then, something shocking happened. Q stepped forward, took Yuruma's place, and began turning the wheel himself. Kuji's relief turned to horror. The ropes pulled tighter, his skin tearing, his bones snapping. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt, yet he was still alive, left to suffer. Then, the truth was revealed. It wasn't Q. It was Yuruma's grandfather. They had given Kuji a drug, one that made him see the face of the person he most wanted to see in his final moments. And with that, Kuji was left to die in excruciating agony. Now, it was Kuga's turn. Kuga was in a relationship with a girl named Anna, but he didn't truly care about her. He treated her like property, beating her whenever he pleased. Yet, despite everything, Anna endured it, believing that one day she could change him. But Kuga was beyond saving. He wasn't just abusive to Anna. He assaulted other girls and bullied countless people. Yuruma had been watching him for a long time, studying his every move. And when the time was right, he put his plan into motion. The first step was kidnapping Anna. After taking her, Yuruma sent a picture of her to Kuga, along with a message, telling him to come to his house. This time, there were no traps, no elaborate torture devices. When Kuga arrived, he found Yuruma sitting in the center of the room, wearing a judo uniform. Yuruma challenged him to a one-on-one fight. Kuga, who was also a judo master, accepted without hesitation. But by the time the fight ended, Kuga lay on the ground, completely broken, his body bruised, his strength gone. Then, Yuruma brought out a barrel. It was filled with water and live shrimps. But that wasn't all. There was fire burning underneath, heating the water. Without a word, Yuruma forced Kuga inside. As the water grew hotter, the shrimps started attacking his body, eating away at his flesh. Kuga thrashed and screamed in agony, but there was no escape. Yuruma left him there and stepped out of the room. But when he returned later, something was wrong. The barrel was empty. Kuga was gone. It turned out that Anna had freed him and taken him to a nearby shed, trying to treat his wounds. But instead of being grateful, Kuga betrayed her. He overpowered Anna, violated her, and then killed her. When Yuruma entered the shed and saw her lifeless body, he broke down in tears. "This is my fault," he muttered, guilt washing over him. But before he could process it, Kuga attacked from behind, tying Yuruma up with ropes. Now helpless, Yuruma endured Kuga's brutal punches, his body aching from the beating. But then he saw something. A knife lying on the ground nearby. With a sudden burst of strength, Yuruma lunged forward, grabbing the knife and cutting himself free. He didn't hesitate. Grabbing a large stone, he smashed it against Kuga's head. Then again, and again. Yuruma was filled with pure rage. He wouldn't stop. He couldn't stop. Kuga had to die. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed outside. Right then, an officer burst into the house, his eyes widening in shock as he saw Yuruma, drenched in blood, standing over Kuga's broken body. But Yuruma didn't freeze. Without hesitation, he strangled the police officer and killed him. As the body hit the floor, Yuruma muttered under his breath, "One more person left."
Nagari greeted his mother with a good morning, picked up his lunch, and left for school. However, once at school, he became the target of severe bullying. A group of students surrounded him, drew a target on his stomach, and began kicking him without mercy. The ones responsible were 4 students. The fat one was named Ajiki. The girl was Shirjimi. The third was Kinugawa, and the last one was Kawis. The beating was so intense that Nagari lost control and wet himself. The urine spread and touched Kinugawa's shoes. In a rage, Kinugawa kicked him even harder and shouted at him, demanding to know if he understood how expensive those shoes were. At that moment, their leader Okaya arrived. He told Kinugawa that he had already warned him not to hit Nagari's face. Kinugawa immediately backed off and apologized. But Okaya wasn't done. He crushed Nagari's lunchbox and filled it with cockroaches and other insects. When Nagari refused to eat it, Okaya forcefully shoved the lunch into his mouth. They were all targeting Nagari for a single reason. Okaya couldn't stand the look in Nagari's eyes, which he described as rebellious. After school, Nagari quietly returned home. His mother had prepared a small party and a cake, as it was his 14th birthday. When Maria saw the wound on his face, she gently asked what happened. Nagari just smiled and replied that he had gotten trapped at school. Maria, who had nursing experience, carefully treated his injury and applied a bandage. Later that night, she called Nagari's father and told him about her concern that their son was being bullied. But his father dismissed her worry, calling her overprotective, and ended the call. Lying in bed and playing games, Nagari suddenly received a disturbing video. It showed his mother involved in an affair. He immediately realized it was fake because the voice didn't match his mother's. Right after that, he received a message from Kawis, asking him to come to the observatory. Nagari made his way to the observatory on the mountain, where the whole group was already gathered. They started insulting his mother, calling her names like expired auntie. Okaya then gave him an ultimatum. If Nagari didn't want the fake video of his mother to be spread, he had to jump from the mountain. Without hesitation, and in order to protect his mother's dignity, Nagari jumped. At the same time, Maria had been tracking her son through a phone app and arrived near the mountain. Suddenly, she saw her son lying on the road, his legs completely broken. She ran toward him, but before she could help, a truck ran over him, killing him instantly. Maria collapsed to the ground, holding what was left of her son, crying in grief. The bullies, terrified by what happened, quickly ran away to avoid being arrested. Back at home, Maria lay in bed, broken by the tragedy. When Nagari's father apologized for not protecting their son, she rejected his apology and told him they were supposed to be parents. Days later, Maria found Nagari's diary. Inside it was every detail of what he had suffered. She also discovered his laptop, where he had saved all the evidence. As she went through everything, she came to a terrifying realization. The ones who had done this were no longer human. They were demons in need of judgment. 2 years passed, and Maria reappeared at the same school, not as a parent, but as the school nurse. One day, Okaya walked into the infirmary holding a poster that said, "No bullying." Maria held her emotions back and told him he was very admirable. Having killed her old self, she couldn't afford to make a single mistake. On the school grounds, Kawis was seen bullying a girl named Yajima. He showed her a secret video of her changing clothes and forced her to bring him 30,000 yen every month. Maria approached them and asked what was going on. Kawis quickly made up a lie, saying Yajima had puked and he was helping her. Before walking away, he threatened Yajima not to tell anyone, or he'd release her video. Later, Kawis bragged to his friends about almost being caught by the nurse. His friends warned him that if they ever got exposed, they'd kill him. Kawis reassured them, saying no one had found out what really happened to Nagari 2 years ago. Suddenly, Okaya appeared behind him and asked if he had mentioned Nagari's name. He told Kawis to never speak that name again, explaining how much he had hated his rebellious eyes. In an attempt to please Okaya, Kawis pulled out some money to offer him. Okaya didn't even look at it and walked away. Standing there, Kawis remembered Nagari's words, that Okaya didn't actually care about him. Now, those words were starting to feel true. Back at home, Kawis received 2 terrifying videos. One showed him bullying Nagari, something he thought was deleted years ago. The other was a personal and humiliating clip of himself. A message followed, demanding 3 million yen. It was sent by Maria. Still stressed, Kawis saw Yajima walking nearby and angrily approached her. He demanded satisfaction, claiming he was irritated. Yajima ignored him and tried to escape. Since she never acted like this before, Kawis believed she had sent the videos. He dragged her away and began torturing her, trying to force the truth out. Even though she repeatedly denied any involvement, he kept going and tried to drown her. At that moment, Maria entered and disappeared with him in an instant. Kawis woke up in a tank with his hand chained. Water started pouring into the tank. Maria stood before him and welcomed him calmly. Kawis thought it was some kind of prank or set up by someone else. But when he saw Maria's expression, he realized it was real. She told him he was being punished for stealing something precious from her. Now, she would steal his oxygen. Kawis assumed it was revenge for Yajima and claimed he was only playing. Maria told him to shut up and gave him a final chance. If he could enter the greatest sin he had ever committed, he could escape. Kawis searched through his memories and decided to enter the date of Nagari's death. But he didn't even remember when they killed him. Instead of feeling regret, he cursed Nagari for not dying on a holiday. The water in the tank kept rising. With no other choice, he had to cut off his hand using a blade. At first, he refused, but desperation took over. He pressed the blade into his skin and began slicing. When he reached the bone, the knife got stuck. It wasn't sharp enough. Kawis struggled but couldn't go through with it. Eventually, he drowned. Maria pulled his lifeless body from the tank and hugged it tightly. She whispered that the greatest sin he had ever committed was simply being born. Days later, Okaya tried calling Kawis, but received no answer. Then, Nagari's father, Taichiro, who worked as a detective, arrived at the school. He stood in front of Okaya to begin an investigation into Kawis' disappearance. Okaya warmly greeted Taichiro, speaking with respect and friendliness. He even requested Taichiro to help find Kawis as quickly as possible. During their conversation, Taichiro mentioned his son, Nagari, reminding Okaya that they used to be classmates. Okaya's expression instantly shifted, and he put on a sad face as he called Nagari's death a tragic accident. Taichiro smiled gently, saying it brought him comfort that the students still remembered his son. He also shared that ever since Maria divorced him, he had never spoken about their son with anyone. Meanwhile, Kinugawa and the others were at a restaurant. He grew annoyed seeing how the others behaved as if everything was normal, so he brought up Kawis' sudden disappearance. But Shirokimi dismissed his concern, saying she didn't care and told Kinugawa to stop thinking about it. This angered Kinugawa. He insisted that Kawis was still their friend. Shirokimi rolled her eyes, told him not to get emotional, and left, saying she had plans to go fishing. Later, Shirokimi was seen in a hotel room with an adult man. Before anything could happen, another man barged in, accusing the adult of trying to sleep with a minor. It became clear that Shirokimi had set the situation up intentionally for money. While showering afterward, her thoughts drifted to Okaya. At school, Kawis' homeroom teacher approached Maria, asking about his whereabouts. Maria calmly replied that she didn't know anything. But as the teacher turned to leave, she brought up a matter concerning Shirokimi, who was one of his students. Shortly after, Shirokimi came storming toward Kinugawa and the fat student, furious. She accused them of revealing her side job. Maria had told the teacher about Shikimi's actions, but Shirokimi assumed Kinugawa and the fat one were the ones who had snitched. She was about to attack Kinugawa when he grabbed her leg and demanded she stop accusing her own friends. Unbeknownst to them, Maria stood behind the door, silently watching everything unfold. Her investigation was over. It was now time to act. A while ago, Nagari had been falsely accused of stealing Shikimi's gym clothes after they were found in his bag. Despite his desperate denial, no one had believed him. That incident had completely destroyed his image in the class. Maria had discovered all of this in Nagari's notes. Now, Shirkimi had become her next target. The following day, Okaya gathered everyone and revealed that Kawis had been missing for 3 weeks. Despite the police looking into it, there were no leads. Some believed he had gone on a trip or met with an accident, but Okaya suspected something darker. He might have been murdered. He warned them to stay alert, as it seemed like someone was targeting them. Later in class, Shirkimi searched her bag and realized her gym clothes were missing. When she questioned her classmates, Kinugawa snapped at her, telling her to shut up. In the heat of their argument, she kicked his bag. When it spilled open, her missing gym clothes fell out. Enraged, Shirkimi confronted Kinugawa. He fired back, yelling that she was framing him, just like she did with Nagari. Everyone in the classroom heard the outburst. Panicking, Shirkimi laughed it off, claiming it was just an act. To shift attention, she repeated her accusation and said Kinugawa stole her clothes during her chemistry class. Kinugawa responded that he had been in the toilet, but she refused to believe him. At that moment, Maria entered the classroom and calmly stated that Kinugawa had been with her during that time. She asked Shirkimi to explain herself. Kinugawa backed her up, saying Maria had called him in for a consultation before class. Shirkimi realized she was losing control of the situation. To divert blame, she pointed fingers at a random boy who was just reading manga. But it was too late. No one believed her anymore. The class murmured about Nagari and mocked Shirkimi, saying no one would want her gym clothes anyway. Maria stepped in and told everyone to stop, reminding them there was no evidence. She warned Shirkimi that if she kept accusing others, she would soon be left completely alone. But the damage was done. Everyone looked at her with cold eyes. Shirkimi shoved Maria aside and stormed out, insisting she wasn't a loner. Maria followed and caught up to her, softly saying, "You're such a pitiful child, aren't you?" That single sentence froze Shirkimi. It turns out Maria had planted her gym clothes in Kinugawa's bag after calling him into a meeting. Everything was part of her plan. And it worked perfectly. Later, Shirkimi sat in a car with a man, determined to take revenge on Maria. That night, as Maria headed home, a group of men ambushed her. She tried to escape but got caught. At home, Shirkimi waited, expecting news of Maria's defeat. Instead, the door opened, and Maria entered with icy eyes. The next thing Shirkimi knew, she was tied up and hanging over a large pit. It was time for her judgment. Maria explained how she dealt with the attackers, tossed 2 of them and seduced the ringleader into a trap. From him, she also learned everything about Shikimi's plan. Maria told her that she and Kawis had no awareness of the pain they had caused. Hearing Kawis' name, Shirkimi finally understood why he vanished. Now it was her turn. A candle slowly burned the rope she was hanging from. Below her, the pit was filled with swarming insects. But Maria gave her one chance. She could send a message to one person without revealing her situation. At first, Shirkimi felt relieved, until she saw the phone had no SIM card. Maria showed her a box full of blades and said the SIM had accidentally fallen in. Now, Shirkimi had to use her mouth to search for it. She tried moving the cutters with her face but got cut right away. Tears filled her eyes as she cried, asking why this was happening. Maria told her to stop pretending to be a victim. She explained that Shikimi's suffering was nothing but the outcome of her own cruelty. Suddenly, Shirkimi recalled how she forced Nagari to search for his keys in the nail box with his mouth. And now she knew. Maria was Nagari's mother. Shirkimi realized Maria's final goal, Okaya. Despite her own fear of pain, she plunged her face into the box, frantically searching for the SIM. Her feelings for Okaya were so strong that she didn't care about herself anymore. All that mattered was warning him. Eventually, she found the SIM, but her face and mouth were covered in cuts. When Maria allowed her to choose someone to message, she picked Okaya. But when she opened their chat, she saw a harsh truth. She was the only one who ever tried talking to him. He had never cared. Still, she asked Maria to send the message. "If you like me, come to this place immediately." She wanted to send that message, however, she doesn't have courage and messaged the guy who she has sent before to attack Maria. In the message, she told him she had a new target who could get the money. But the man rejected her and cursed her in response. It turned out that during their time at the hotel, Maria had revealed everything to him, how Shirkimi used him and insulted him on private social media. Shikimi's habit of using people had caught up with her. Now she was alone. Even then, she didn't regret anything. She believed Okaya would eventually kill Maria and reunite her with Nagari. Without another word, Maria cut the rope. Shirkimi fell into the hole. When she landed, she discovered the ground was coated in honey. The insects swarmed her, drawn to the sweet scent, and began devouring her alive. Only then did she begin to cry and beg for forgiveness. But it was already far too late. This girl named Asumi was just scrolling through social media when she suddenly received a notification that someone named Pumpkin Knight had followed her. She saw the profile picture of Pumpkin Knight and started laughing, saying that it's not even Halloween. Thinking that Pumpkin Knight looked like a cool person, she followed her back. Immediately, she received a message from Pumpkin Knight that said, "Asumi, time to die." When she saw the message, she started freaking out because Pumpkin Knight knows her real name. While she was trying to figure out who this Pumpkin Knight is, someone rang the doorbell. Hearing the doorbell, she got really scared because there's a chance Pumpkin Knight is the one who is on the door. She decided to see from the window before opening the door. When he looked outside, she was relieved to see a person holding a package to deliver. She immediately went out and opened the door. But as the door opened, that delivery man fell on her hands. She got really scared to see that the delivery man's head had a big hole in it. Before she could understand what was going on, she saw Pumpkin Knight standing in front of her holding a big knife. She immediately locked the door and tried to understand what was going on. She was wondering what she should do to survive. Suddenly, she received a call from a guy named Kazuya. She immediately picked up the call and started shouting for help. Kazuya said to her that Naoka has escaped. When Asumi couldn't remember who Naoka was, Kazuya reminded her that Naoka was their classmate during junior high school. Naoka was the one who they used to bully in school, and because of that her mental health worsened and she was admitted to a mental hospital. However, this morning she killed all the nurses and patients and escaped. Right then, Naoka stabbed Asumi from behind. Asumi started crying, asking for forgiveness. She admitted that she was wrong and said sorry. But Naoka has no intention of forgiving anyone. She used the scoop spoon that was attached to her knife and scooped Asumi's eyes like ice cream. Because Kazuya is still on call, he was hearing Asumi scream and was asking her what is going on. But Asumi was in no shape to answer and ran outside the house. Behind her, Naoka was slowly chasing her holding her phone. As Asumi can't see because of her eyes being scooped out, she accidentally walked into a road and a fast-moving truck crushed her. Kazuya was still on the phone and asking Asumi about what was going on. But as Naoka is the one who's holding her phone, she told Kazuya the Asumi is no more. Naoka cuts the call warning Kazuya that he's next. Next day, Asumi's funeral was held and many students joined it. Kazuya and his friends, who are also a target for Naoka, also joined the funeral. The big guy's name is Arita, and the girl's name is Saki. Arita assumes that Kazuya still hasn't spoken to the police even though he was the one who last talked to Asumi before she died. Right then, a guy named Naruto arrived there and said that they shouldn't tell the cops. Because if they tell the cops, police will also suspect them and investigate them. After junior high school, it's their first time getting together like this. Many news reporters arrived outside the mental hospital from where Naoka had run away. They report that more than 20 people have been killed by the suspect A, who is Naoka. On the other hand, Naoka is dancing happily while watching the news. In the meantime, Kazuya and the others were together. They are still not feeling guilty. They said that a person who has an appearance like Naoka is naturally going to get bullied. Saki raises a concern asking if the person who killed Asumi is really Naoka. She asked if anybody has been in contact with her. Kazuya said that he's not completely sure, but last night when Kazuya talked to him from Asumi's phone, he heard her voice. He said that she has the same childlike voice as she had during junior high school. Kazuya reminds that Naoka was a type of girl who always babbled about something. She was a self-centered egoist who thinks nothing of people. So, Kazuya concludes that the person who killed Asumi is indeed Naoka. Hearing his story, Naruto said that if Naoka still has Asumi's mobile phone, they can track her using GPS. He said that they'll catch Naoka before police does, and then kill her and make it look like a suicide. Hearing that, a shocked Saki accidentally shouted their plan in a loud voice. Naruto immediately asked her to keep her voice down. Because if someone hears them, they'll be in danger. Unfortunately for them, an old man heard what Saki said about killing someone. So to save themselves, she started talking about killing a game character. This made the old man think that they're just joking and left thinking how they can joke at the funeral of their classmate. After the old man left, Saki asked Naruto if they really had to kill Naoka. Naruto explained that if the police caught her, they'll just treat her as a mental patient and will just put her in a mental hospital as an innocent sick child. So, if they want to completely remove the threat, they have to kill Naoko. In the end, they all decided to kill Naoka except Kazuya. He remembered how he wasn't able to save Naoka during junior high school, and now it's the same. His friends are planning to kill her, but he can't do anything to stop them. Then, Naruto asked Kazuya to give him his phone because he and Asumi were mailing each other. Using that, they'll track Naoka and catch her if she's still holding Asumi's phone. When Kazuya unlocked his phone to give it to Naruto, he saw that Pumpkin Knight had sent him a message. Seeing that, Saki revealed that a guy named Pumpkin Knight has also followed her. Arata and Naruto also revealed that Pumpkin Knight has also followed them. Seeing the situation, Saki assumes that Pumpkin Knight is Naoka, because the thing that made her go crazy was a Halloween pumpkin. She started freaking out saying that they will have to pay for what they did to Naoka and ran away alone. When Kazuya tried to stop her, Naruto said that they should just let her run alone and use her as bait to catch Naoka. So, they run after Saki to find her and use her to catch Naoka. In the meantime, Saki was sitting on the stairs crying that she didn't want to die. Right then, an old man standing behind her asked her why she's saying something like "don't want to die." This is the same old man who almost caught them making a plan to kill Naoka. When she was about to leave, the old man stopped and said that he heard what they said was familiar with the deceased Asumi from junior high. He asked her to tell him if she knew something about Asumi's death. He revealed that there are suspicions that Asumi's death was not an accident but a murder. Hearing that when Saki turned back to ask the old man to go away, she saw that the old man had already been stabbed in the head. The Pumpkin Knight is here to get her revenge. Without wasting a moment, Naoka took out the knife from the old man's head and hit the other side of the knife on Naoki's nose. Saki started crying with pain after just getting hit once. Naoka asked her to stop crying because there's plenty more to come. With that, she proceeds to hit on Saki's nose again and again. Meanwhile, Naruto is trying to find Saki. While he was finding her, a girl named Nozomu arrived there. This girl is here to make a move on Naruto and smash him. But suddenly, someone started the fire alarm which caused panic in the funeral hall and everybody had to get out. It was Naoka who started the fire alarm, and now she's alone inside the funeral hall. She has trapped Saki inside a bag and is taking her somewhere. After some walking, she reached Asumi's coffin. She stood in front of her coffin and said, "Don't worry, your friend will suffer a similar fate soon enough." Meanwhile, people have finally realized that no fire has broken out and assumed that someone has pulled the alarm as a prank. Kazuya and his group, who were trying to find Saki, weren't able to find her. In the end, it's now finally time to take the coffin and cremate Asumi. There, Kazuya overheard two girls talking how Asumi's body is messed up, and she'll be cremated without anyone seeing her face. Right then, Kazuya spotted Naoka standing on the rooftop of the funeral hall. When Kazuya saw her waving her hand, he realized that Saki was inside the coffin with Asumi, and Naoka was waving her hand to say goodbye to Saki. Now, Kazuya has told Naruto and Arata that Saki is inside the coffin. They ran away to get to Saki before Naoka. Naoka was still standing on the rooftop seeing them running behind Saki. She said to Kazuya to run away as much as possible, but there'll be no forgiveness. Before Kazuya and his group even left the funeral hall, they spotted the dead old man hanging from the rooftop. The man's body is completely messed up, like stomach is torn open, and body is stabbed with many knives and scissors. Kazuya quickly calmed himself and said to Arata and Naruto that they had no time to waste. They immediately booked a taxi and went behind Saki, who was trapped in a coffin. Right then, Naoka appeared right beside their taxi with a big metal pipe. She smashed the taxi's front window with the pipe, killing the driver in the process. Because of the accident, Kazuya and his group also got injured. With that, Naoka left without wasting a moment. On the other hand, Saki has finally woke up inside the coffin. She can't move her body to make noise because she is completely tied up. The coffin has reached the crematory, so Saki has to do something fast if she wants to survive. At this point, Saki didn't know that she's locked inside a coffin. She finally realized where she was when she saw dead Asumi under her. Outside the crematory, Naoka is sitting looking at his phone waiting for something to happen. People are slowly dragging the coffin toward the furnace, while Saki is crying thinking that she doesn't want to get burned. She was trying to ask them to stop, but she couldn't say anything because her mouth was tied up. With that, they put the coffin inside the furnace and started the fire. Saki started burning alive in the fire. When Naoka saw smoke coming out from the crematory, she started dancing because Saki is burning inside the coffin. While she was celebrating, two police women stopped her celebration and asked her to remove her pumpkin because they wanted to see her face. But Naoka had different intentions. She stabbed the first one with a big knife and shoved a big metal pipe inside the second lady. On the other hand, Saki is still burning up. Her scream was finally heard by people when the tape around her mouth burned up and she got free. When people heard that there's someone alive inside, they immediately stopped the flames and brought out the coffin. When the lid was open, Saki was completely burned up, but she was still alive, enduring immense pain. Her body was messed up and she was rushed to the hospital. Kazuya and his group were also in the hospital because they also got injured when Naoka crashed their taxi. When Kazuya saw Saki completely burned up, he finally decided to tell the cops because Naoka is getting out of hand. Arata and Naruto also understand that Naoka is even killing innocent people and decided to do as Kazuya said. Meanwhile, doctors are checking Saki's condition. Suddenly, she started freaking out. The doctor thought that she's in shock because she went through a very painful experience, but she is panicking because Naoka is here. When doctors finally spotted Naoka, she didn't stop. She immediately started killing all the doctors. She stabbed one with a knife, and brutally killed others using the tools that were there for performing operations. Now it's Saki's turn. To kill her, Naoka gave her a high-voltage shock, because of which, the power of the whole hospital was cut off for a moment. When Kazuya saw the power suddenly getting cut off in the hospital, he immediately rushed to check on Saki. When he reached the operation room, he saw that Saki is still alive but her face has cut all over it and it's completely messed up. It turns out that the one lying on the bed isn't Saki but Naoka. This is Naoka's real face. But Kazuya and the group still thinks that this is Saki and just put bandages around her face. Saki's parents were abroad, that's why they'll come tomorrow. Arata said that all the nurses and doctors died but Saki survived because they came before Naoka was about to give the final blow. Hearing that, Naruto told them that Naoka has left Saki alive on purpose. He said that she has no intention of killing, she's just playing with them to torment them. Arata refuses to believe that because Asumi died by Naoka's hands. Then Naruto reminds him that Asumi died because a truck crashed here. There's a chance that Naoka didn't intend to kill her like that. After telling his thoughts, Naruto said that they'll not tell the cops and deal with Naoka themselves. Because she will not kill them immediately, their chances of catching her are high. While they are talking about killing Naoka, she is hearing everything lying on the bed. When Naoka saw Kazuya looking sad, she thought to herself, asking Kazuya to not make such a gloomy face as she'll end all this soon. At the police station, police officers found a pumpkin that was under the operating table. They also found schoolgirls' uniforms at the same place. Head police officer analyzes everything that had happened until now and concludes that all the deaths and this pumpkin are connected. He asked the cops to give him the names of the friends of the victim who is in the hospital. Cops gave him the list of 3 friends. When the head officer saw Kazuya's picture, he said that Kazuya is the one who'll most likely confess. On the other hand, a nurse came running to the doctor and told him that including the doctors and nurses from the ICU, there should be 8 bodies carried to the morgue. But there are 9 bodies instead of 8. And the extra body is of a woman who has severe burn marks and also electrocuted. Meanwhile, Kazuya is sitting near the bed where Naoka is lying instead of Saki. Seeing how Naoka is sitting beside her, it reminds Naoka of her old days. Naoka thought that after she got rid of Saki, she hurt herself enough so no one could recognize her and lay on the bed in Saki's stead. While injuring herself, she didn't feel pain because she's used to it. Right then, Naoka got up and was about to strangle Kazuya as he's sitting here all alone. But before she did that, Kazuya called her name even though he's sleeping. Back in junior high school, Naoka and Kazuya used to be really good friends. You can say they were girlfriend and boyfriend. Now, Naoka was chosen to become a Halloween queen. Naoka knows that she got chosen to become a queen because someone has prepared a trap for her. But Kazuya said that this is not a trap and asked her to be confident. Immediately when Kazuya said that, she got really happy and said that she'll definitely become the Halloween queen. But when she became queen, her face completely burned because of some trap. Suddenly, Kazuya woke up and he was seeing these old things in his dream. He thought that nothing would have happened if he only had tried to stop students from bullying Naoka. After that, he left the room. While walking in the hallway, he was thinking that he wanted to apologize to Naoka. He wanted to calm down her anger, but he couldn't do anything. Right then, someone appeared in front of him wearing a pumpkin head. The imposter didn't say anything to him and just ran away. Kazuya followed her thinking that she is Naoka, and she led him to a corner. When Kazuya caught up to her, he saw a head police officer and Naoka standing behind him. It turns out that the head police officer used Naoka's pumpkin to lure Kazuya and asked him some questions. Without wasting a moment in useless questions, the police officer asked him to tell them about the story of Naoka and what they did to her to make her angry. While they were talking, Saki's parents finally arrived at the hospital. When they saw their daughter, they freaked out and asked doctors about what happened to her. On the other hand, police officer is showing Kazuya the pictures of everyone who got killed by Naoka's hand. When Kazuya was looking at the pictures, he spotted Saki's photo. Seeing that, he immediately realized that the one who is lying on the bed is not Saki but Naoko. Meanwhile, Naoko got up and stabbed Saki's mother with an injection. After that, Naoko threw many more injections at Saki's dad. Finally, Saki's mother realized that the girl in front of them is not Saki but Naoko. She immediately called Naoko a monster and said that her daughter used to tell her that there's a girl in her class who is a complete weirdo. The mother said that Naoko's face got burned because she was a monster. Hearing all that blabbering, Naoko got really angry and started stabbing Saki's mother with multiple injections again and again. Meanwhile, Kazuya finally revealed the story of how Naoko's face got burned. He said that when Naoko was chosen as the Pumpkin Queen, a pumpkin head was put on her face as a reward. There were firecrackers inside the pumpkin head. Kazuya said that Naoko was an oddball and was bullied because of it. The bullies put the firecrackers inside the pumpkin head on purpose to make fun of her. She was supposed to be humiliated in front of the whole school. However, the firecrackers went up in flames, Naoko's hairspray caught fire and the pumpkin itself started to burn. As the fire couldn't be seen outside the pumpkin, everyone just laughed and watched as Naoko rolled on the floor. After hearing the story, the police officer decided to stop Naoko and asked Kazuya and the cop girl to stay on guard. When the lift doors opened and they were about to leave, many people ran inside the lift in panic. It turns out the fire has broken and everyone is running to save their life. In the crowd, Kazuya also spotted Naoko. When the police officer and the girl were finally able to leave the lift, he spotted Naoko inside the lift, but it was too late as the lift doors closed right then. Suddenly, a nurse screamed behind them. The police officer immediately ran to them and asked them what was going on. When the police officer and the girl entered the ICU, they both got scared to see the state in which Saki's parents are. Like both of their heads are gone, the husband's stomach is cut open and intestines not to different places. In the end, both husband and wife's head are placed inside the husband's stomach. Meanwhile, Naoko was talking Kazuya. She said that she took Saki's place in the ICU because she knew that Kazuya will be there. When she was about to leave, Kazuya wondered why she's not killing him. So Naoko answered his question. She said that she's not killing him for now because she is saving him for the last. Before she walked away, Kazuya stopped her and asked her why she is going this far. He said that they just did a prank on her. Hearing that, Naoko revealed that it wasn't a prank but a trap specially for her. She explained everything that happened that day. It isn't fully revealed to the readers what happened to Naoko that day. When Kazuya heard the story, he asked her why she never told him about it. He said that her story is totally different from what he heard. He asked her why she didn't tell anyone about this. So, Naoko revealed that she told many adults but everyone turned a blind eye. That's why she decided to fight on her own. With that, she leaves the place after giving a flying kiss to Kazuya. Right after she left, the police officer arrived there and asked Kazuya about where Naoko went. Kazuya said that she's not here anymore. After that, Kazuya explained everything to Eret and Naruto. They started panicking after realizing that Naoko had heard their whole conversation where they were planning on killing her. But Kazuya didn't care about that. He just wanted to know who was the one who set up the trap and burned Naoko's face. After a while, when Naruto was sitting alone, Nozomu arrived there and said that she has the pumpkin mask. When Naruto asked her how she knew about that pumpkin, she answered that during junior high school, she was the one in charge of the Halloween party. While preparing for the party, she saw Naruto doing something with the pumpkin. And during the party when Naoko's face was burned after wearing the pumpkin, she saw Naruto and Erita laughing out loud. Seeing them enjoying the scene, she realized that Naruto is the one behind and she also took the pumpkin back home with her. Now, if Naruto doesn't want her to reveal everything, he has to satisfy her. But when the fun was just about to begin, Naoko arrived there and popped Nozomu's balloon with a fishing rod. Now that Naoko knows that Naruto is the one who is behind everything, Naoko is here to punish him. Seeing her angry, Naruto started shouting that it was just a prank and asked her to calm down. But Naoko isn't here to listen to him blabbering. First, she cut Naruto's hand and divided it into two, and then she smashed his head with a concrete brick and made him unconscious. With that, Naruto kidnapped both Nozomu and Naruto. Now, Naoko has tied both of them up in such a way that if Nozomu tried to move or free herself, the string around the Naruto's neck will tighten up and cut it down. Naruto also spotted another pulley and wondered what that is for. Then, she brought out her mobile and started live streaming. In the meantime, Arita and Kazuya were eating in a restaurant waiting for Naruto. Right then, Kazuya found out that Naruto has been caught by Naoko and is live on YouTube. Meanwhile, when Nozomu tried to go near Naruto, the string around Naruto's neck slowly tightened up, making him feel immense pain and blocking his breathing. So, to keep Nozomu away, he started kicking her in the face, asking her to back away. When the live stream gained enough viewers, Naoko came to Naruto and asked him to confess everything. In the end, Naruto had no choice but to confess everything on the live stream. He revealed that he put the sulfuric acid in the mask. He took the sulfuric acid from the science prep room and he filled polythene bags with it. Then he taped them inside the mask. That way the bags would pop with the slightest touch. Then when Naoko wore the pumpkin head, the acid completely melted her face. He did all this just because he didn't like Naoko's face. Everyone who watched the live stream got really angry and said that they should report to the police. Kazuya also got and grabbed Arata from the collar. He asked him about the reason why they did such a thing to Naoko. Arata revealed that there wasn't any reason, they just did it because it was fun. After confessing everything, Naruto asked her to let her go. But Naoko had no intention of letting him go. So Naruto tries to waste her time while slowly loosening his rope to break free. Suddenly, Naoko pierced Nizumo's head with the knife and killed her. Then, Naoko picked up another string and attacked it to the door by passing it through the second pulley. Now if anyone comes to save Naruto and opens the door, he will die. Immediately, Naruto started asking for forgiveness, saying that he knew what he did was terrible. But Naoko has no intention of doing that because when they were bullying her, she also screamed and asked for forgiveness, but they never stopped. Saki, Asumi, Arata, and Naruto, all four of them bullied her non-stop. Only Kazuya was the one who at least didn't take part in bullying her. Right then, Naruto was finally able to free himself and without wasting a moment, he attacked the string that was around his neck to Naoko's hand. Suddenly, Arata and Kazuya arrived there and opened the door. And when the door opened, Naoko's hand popped like a balloon. Arata also didn't waste a moment and started beating Naoko immediately. While he was doing that, Kazuya was just standing and watching like he did when Naoko was getting bullied during her days in junior high. Suddenly, Kazuya finally built up the courage and kicked Kazuya from behind. After saving her, Kazuya hugged her and confessed his love to her. But while they were hugging each other, Arata and Naruto hit both of them from behind and knocked them out. Immediately after that, all the videos of Naruto confessing his crime were deleted from the internet. Also, the police was ordered to stop the investigation. It turns out that Naruto's dad is mayor and is a very influential person who can do anything. At the time when Naoko got burned, he was the one who forced everyone to change their testimonies to save Naruto. Now, Naruto and Arata are sitting in a van with Naruto's dad while they have tied up unconscious Kazuya and Naoko and put them in the back seat of the van. After a while, they reached a construction site. They are here to bury both Kazuya and Naoko. Inside the construction site, there's a big hole. First, they drop dead Nozomu in the hole, and after that, they drop Kazuya and Pumpkin Knight in the hole. Luckily, Kazuya fell on the dead body of Nozomu because of which he survived. But Naoko wasn't that lucky. Many metal rods pierced her and killed her. Seeing her like this, Kazuya started crying. Right then, a girl climbed down the hole holding the pumpkin head of Naoko. This is the same policewoman who was working on Naoko's case. When Kazuya was going back to the town with the policewoman, he finally snapped. He decided to become Pumpkin Knight himself and kill Naruto, Arata, and the mayor, Naruto's father. As Halloween is coming closer, many people are setting up pumpkins and purchasing them. When Arata saw pumpkins everywhere on the streets, he was getting scared thinking of Naoko. He got so scared that he even accidentally punched a lady holding a pumpkin. Immediately he ran away and went to Naruto. He told Naruto that he can't stop thinking about Naoko. And Naruto also realized that Arata's mental health is getting worse and worse as Halloween is coming closer. When Arata started saying things like Naoko will come back and kill them, Naruto kicked him out. Now while Arata was in a lift, Pumpkin Knight appeared on top of him. Suddenly, a thread appeared in front of Arata, and when he touched the string, it immediately started strangling his neck. He struggled really hard, but it was no use. And when he looked up, he was shocked to see Pumpkin Knight is back. Right then, the lift door opened because someone pressed the button from outside. Arata immediately started asking for help from the person who opened the door. But it turns out that it's the same lady whom Arata punched today in the market, so she took her baby and ran away without wasting a moment. With that, the door closed and Arata was still struggling for his life. Suddenly, Arata grabbed Kazuya's hand and dragged him down, also freeing himself in the process. When he grabbed the arm, he immediately realized that the person was not Naoko, and from the voice, he realized that it's Kazuya imitating Pumpkin Knight. Then, Erda was about to smash Kasuya's pumpkin head, but Kanzuya took out some knife and inflicted deep wounds on Arata's leg. Without wasting a moment, he kicked Arata's wounded leg again and again. Seeing how he's getting brutally beaten, Arata realized that the one standing in front of him is not Kanzuya, but the demon pumpkin knight who has crawled out from the hell. Kanzuya didn't waste a moment. He grabbed his knives again and started making holes on Arata's back. Suddenly, Kanzuya accidentally tripped on the blood that was on the ground and lost his balance. Arata took the opportunity and pushed him outside the lift. Then, he immediately closed the door and went to the higher floors. After reaching the destination, he slowly dragged his injured body toward Naruto's room. But he has to hurry up as Kanzuya is climbing the stairs at full speed. Arata started banging Naruto's room's ring bell nonstop, calling him. At that moment, Kanzuya also reached the floor and ran toward Arata. When he was about to land an attack, Naruto opened the door and pushed him inside. Kanzuya didn't stop even after the door closed. He used his small knives to slash the door again and again. After some time, when he finally stopped, Naruto and Arata were able to take the breath of relief. While lying injured on the bed, Arata explained everything to Naruto. He explained how the one who was behind was not Naoko but Kanzuya. He called Kanzuya the one possessed by the Pumpkin Knight's demon. After telling the whole story, Arata advised him that they should tell the cops now. Hearing that, Naruto put a pillow on Arata's head, blocking his breathing. He killed Arata and said that he himself will take care of Kanzuya. Meanwhile, Kanzuya is sitting in front of Naoko's grave. He put the pumpkin head and small flower on the grave and said, "Only 2 more to go." Behind him, the policewoman was also standing. She is working with Kanzuya because she wants to get revenge from Naruto's father. Naruto's father once framed her dad and killed him, so that's why she's helping Kanzuya in order to achieve her own revenge by killing Naruto's dad. Right then when she checked her phone, she saw that Naruto's father was heading toward his son's apartment. Hearing that, Kanzuya laughed maniacally and put on a completely different pumpkin head. He immediately left with the policewoman to kill Naruto and his dad. On the other hand, Naruto has also gone mad. He has cut down Arata's body into pieces and packed it inside 3 different bags. Seeing the scene, Naruto's dad started to realize that his son is also slowly going mad. After that, they left the room to throw those bags filled with Arata's remains at a secret place. On their way, they spotted Kanzuya standing on the bridge. He was already there waiting for them, and when he saw them, he threw a cylinder at them and said, "Trick or treat." That cylinder hit the van, causing it to crash. Both the policewoman and Kanzuya ran toward the van holding knives. But when they reached near it, some gangsters came out of the car. 3 people went toward Kanzuya to catch him, but Kanzuya had bug spray. He sprayed it on 3 of them after mixing it with the fire. This attack injured all 3 of them severely. But Kanzuya didn't stop there. He used the same attack on 3 of them again and again in order to kill them painfully. On the other hand, the policewoman wasn't weak. She easily defeated the 3 gangsters who tried to catch her. Now only Naruto and his dad's left. When the policewoman ran toward the car, Naruto's dad immediately drove the van backward and hit the policewoman. This injured her to the point where she was unable to move. Without wasting a moment, Naruto's dad drove the van towards Kanzuya. But Kanzuya didn't get scared. He jumped up, lit the lighter and threw it inside the van. As Kanzuya threw a cylinder inside the van before, now when he threw the lighter inside, it caused the cylinder to explode. In this explosion, Naruto's dad was burned to death, but Naruto was able to escape with some injuries. Now it's Naruto's turn to receive his final punishment. Naruto got up and slowly ran toward the city. Behind him, Kanzuya was slowly chasing him. While running, Naruto spotted 2 people on the motorbike. He immediately stopped them and asked them for help. He told them that a killer is chasing him. After hearing Naruto, instead of helping, they started laughing at him. They just said Happy Halloween and left without doing anything. They just thought that Naruto and Kanzuya were just cosplaying for Halloween. After some more running, Naruto reached the city. He told everyone that he's getting chased by a killer, but no one helped and just laughed while saying Happy Halloween. While running through the laughing crowd, Naruto realized that everything that is happening to him is the same that he did to Naoko. After some running, he accidentally entered a dark alley and encountered a dead end. As there's no choice left, he immediately kneeled down and started begging for forgiveness. Hearing his sorry, Kanzuya asked him to stop and said that they are just doing this for fun. Fun. This is the same reason for which Naruto and his group bullied Naoko. Everything that Kanzuya did to Naruto or Arata, he did it just for fun like they did to Naoko. Saying that, he smashed the handle of his knife on Naruto's head and injured it. Then he used the knife and forcefully peeled out some of Naruto's skin from his head. He peeled the skin and skull so deeply that the brain was visible from the outside. With that, he took out a bottle of sulfuric acid and started pouring it in his brain. Because of which, Naruto's whole face and brain slowly melt down. In the end, Naruto died the most painful death. After that, Kazuya cut down Naruto's head and started dancing on a building's rooftop. Everyone who saw him dancing called him a demon. Next day, we see that Kazuya has been admitted into a mental hospital. He has completely lost his mind and gone mad. Meanwhile, at Naoko's grave everything was normal, but suddenly, a hand came out from the grave and Naoko said, "Nothing can save you bullies now." This old man sitting with a lady was looking at his phone. He showed a picture of his grandchild to the lady and told her that his grandchild is coming to visit him with his parents. They talked with each other about modern society, saying that it is really easy to communicate with someone who is living overseas using new technologies and stuff. After some talking, the lady congratulated the old man for getting discharged from the hospital. Right at that moment, the lady's head was blown up, her eyes and brain matter scattered everywhere. She died instantly without even knowing the cause of her death. Old man and the driver got really scared, so they decided to immediately call the police. When the old man looked behind through the broken window, he saw a girl wearing a pumpkin head, holding a shotgun, riding in a motorbike coming toward him. Naoko loaded the gun and started shooting at the car. Old man immediately lay down to save himself. Unfortunately, a guy, who was sitting beside the driver's seat, got hit by a bullet which blew half of his face into bits. He also died on the spot. Because of the sudden attack, the driver wasn't able to control the car. The car randomly moved to the other side of the road where construction work was going on. A machinery that was drilling the road cut the car into two pieces, and the driver also got cut into two. Like this, 3 people died a horrifying death. Only an old man is left now. Old man asked for the reason for killing these people from Naoko. Before saying anything, she first loaded her gun, which scared the old man even more. Old man immediately started begging for his life. Hearing his pleading, Naoko brought out a phone and showed the old man a picture. She said that this woman and her kid wanted to talk to him, that's why Naoko needed to kill him. Before killing him, she said to the old man that she wanted to ask him some questions. She asks him questions about some accidents. She asked him how fast he was driving when that accident happened. She asked him how come he didn't help the victims after the accidents. She asked him why he didn't call his subordinates to call 911. Finally, she asked him why hasn't the story of those accidents shown on the news. After she finished asking these questions, she reminds the old man that he didn't even get arrested for that accident. An accident that serious should have gotten him locked up without questions. Naoko asked him how the hell did he manage to get away. She told him that his subordinates are pretty occupied, they're already dead, so she asked the old man to not ask them and answer himself. After all, since he's the one who did it, he should be the one to explain. But Naoko thought that she would not be able to believe a single word this old man would say, so she decided to kill him. At that moment, from the hand of the gun, some spikes came out. Seeing those spikes, the old man started crying, saying that he'll turn himself in if she lets him live. But Naoko didn't listen. She hit the old in the face with the hand filled with spikes. After getting pierced with a spike when Naoko took away the gun, a pool of blood started pouring from the old man's face. After a while, news about a pumpkin head killing someone appeared on the TVs. People weren't even shocked at this point because this is already the 5th case. Another reason why the people aren't caring about these murders is that everyone that died by the hands of that pumpkin head were the ones who committed some crimes, but never got charged for them. On the other hand, the head police officer was digging out a grave. This is the place where Naoko was buried. The policeman is here to confirm if Naoko is dead or not. Old man learned about this location after questioning Kazuya and that police lady who worked with Kazuya to kill Naruto and his dad. He knows that this is where they buried Naoko, now he's just hoping for her to be dead. While digging, he said that there are people who think Naoko is a hero, but he will never see a killer as a hero no matter what. In the end, after digging for a while, he confirms that Naoko is alive. While he was really tired and gasping for air, there was someone on the tree behind him, seeing everything. The person said with a smile, "Trick or treat." The next moment, the person appeared behind the policeman, which shocked him. Because this person is Naoko and she has a completely fine face with not a single scar. Without doing anything, Naoko ran away from there. The policeman ran behind her asking to stop, but she didn't listen. The policeman is really shocked and wonders why Naoko's face doesn't have a single scar on her face. The policeman thought that this whole case was full of mysteries. It's been a year since it started and he still doesn't have any answers. He questioned who Naoko really is. While running, he accidentally tripped and hurt his ankle. But he didn't stop, he slowly moved forward in order to find Naoko. After some walking, he found a mansion in the middle of the forest. He can't jump inside the mansion because there's a dog inside. Inside the mansion, Naoko was standing near the window looking at the policeman standing outside. She wonders who that man is. She asked why she felt like she knew that policeman. Thinking about that policeman, her head started hurting. She can't remember anyone from before. At that moment, a man walked inside the room and called Naoko's name. This man is a doctor and asked Naoko to not push herself. He told her that she'll gradually remember things over time. When Naoko saw him, she was really happy. Doctor went toward the window and noticed that there was someone outside. Naoko told him that the dog chased him away. Doctor asked her if she went outside again. Naoko didn't answer and just smiled, which means yes. Suddenly, the doctor put his hands on Naoko's shoulder and said to her that he knows she wants her memory back. That's why she goes outside from time to time. The doctor told her that she can't put herself in danger like that. Doctor said to her that he'll not be able to live without her. Hearing that, Naoko answered that she understands and will not go into the forest alone anymore. At that moment, the doctor noticed something on her. The doctor noticed a mark on her face and thought that it's cyanosis. He called it another failure. He thought that it doesn't stick very, so he'll need to do another surgery. Noticing that the doctor is worried about her face, Naoko smiled and told him that he doesn't have to worry about her face, she's super lucky just to be alive. Hearing that, the doctor hugged her and remembered the time when he found Naoko. When he found her, she was really injured crawling on the ground. At that moment, the doctor took Naoko home and treated her. He thanks God for letting him help Naoko. But when he looked at the pumpkin head and many different weapons on the wall, he thought that maybe it was the devil who let him help Naoko, not God. Meanwhile, the policeman has found the details of the person who lives inside that mansion. The person is Ryuichi, 58 years old, graduated from the Imperial University School of Medicine, and he's a doctor. On the other hand, we see a guy throwing money everywhere. While he's throwing the money, his underlings are picking up the money from the ground. At this point, he's so happy that he thinks that he can take over the world if he wanted to. A guy asked him why he's so happy. So, he told him that he never thought he could make so much money with just a phone call. Suddenly, their celebration stopped when someone started banging on their door. They thought that the police were here. Boss immediately started panicking, saying that if the higher-ups find out about their little side business, they all will die. Seeing the boss panicking, a guy told everyone to hold their weapons and stand in front of the door. He said that they'll cause confusion, and in the confusion, the boss will run away. Boss also cheered them to hold the front while he planned to run away. While he was shouting, someone stabbed him in the back from the behind and cut it like a cake. The Pumpkin Knight is here to purge the evil. Now Pumpkin is already famous, so they immediately realize why she's here. Seeing her, the secondary boss ordered all the men to hold their weapons and attack her. He thought that it's just a high school girl, she's not their match. At the same time, all the men ran to attack her. First, Naoko dodged these two men's attacks, and immediately slit the throat of one of them, and cut the stomach of one of them. From the stomach, his intestine poured out everywhere. Like this, both of them died painfully. After that, one more guy came to attack her, she easily dodged his attack and his head like a cake. Seeing the horrifying scene, all the men got really scared, thinking how a high school girl is taking down a yakuza. They realize that she's totally a prop killer, so everyone starts running away. Secondary boss begged them to come back, but they didn't listen, saying that only an idiot will fight a demon like her. When these men opened the door to go out, someone else was already waiting for them. This guy is wearing a unicorn mask with the word bleach written on it. He loaded his shotgun, saying that it's time to clean up some trash. Immediately, he shot everyone in the stomach and killed them on the spot. The secondary boss got really scared seeing another guy and thought that this person must be the one pressing the intercom. At that moment, Naoko grabbed him from the head and said that he's right. While crying, he asked Naoko why they're doing this. He asked why they're specially targeting them and not any other gang. Naoki answered that there's some people who want to see him. She showed him a photo of an old couple. She reminds him that he was the one who stole this couple's retirement saving and drove them to suicide. Now then, Naoko decided to ask him a question like she asked the old man before. Before asking, she said that there's a whole mountain of victims like this couple. She asked him why he did that. What did he need all the money for? Naoko loudly guessed that he's going to quit scamming people from now on. He started crying, shouting that he'll quit everything from now on and asked Naoko to forgive her. He held her leg and asked her to not kill her. But Naoko didn't listen. She started kicking the guy in the face with no sign of stopping. Doctor, who was wearing a unicorn mask, saw the scene and thought that she's really amazing. He thought that released from an innocent soul, Naoko is a being of pure violence. In the end, Naoko cut down the head of the guy and killed him. Doctor called Naoko pure and thought that if she ruled the world, it'd also become just as pure. 1 year ago, Ryuichi found Naoko in the forest in almost dead state. She had multiple puncture wounds and was losing a lot of blood between all of the bruises, bone fractures, and ruptured organs. She was a huge mess. And yet, she was somehow still alive. Even after being buried in a state of suspended animation, her strong will to live allowed her to escape. Looking back, it was at that moment Ryuichi was first drawn to Naoko. He took her to the lab inside the mansion and thought that he had been exiled from the medical world, but he was able to build his own intensive care unit in secret. It was made under the cover of darkness and illegal surgeries, but his operating room was much better than the ones at the local hospitals. When Ryuichi was about to start the treatment, Naoko asked him who he was. Hearing that, Ryuichi got really shocked. He can't believe that Naoko is still conscious. So, Ryuichi asked her not to worry because he's a doctor. Answering that, the doctor asked her who she was. She answered that she's the Pumpkin Knight. With that, the doctor started the surgery and it took him 10 hours to complete it. He had to use all the blood bags he'd saved up along with his most expensive drugs. But it was all worth it. Because he had a feeling that this girl would help him make his dreams come true. He had a feeling and it was right. In the present, Naoko showed the half head of the guy to Ryuichi and told her that she did it. Ryuichi praised her and thought that with her great physical abilities, violent aggression, and no conscience, she can do it. Ryuichi thought that she'll be able to help him purify this rotten world. He is also happy that Naoko lost some of her memories, which made it easier for him to order her. On the other hand, Kanzuya was in the mental hospital. He was sitting in the corner like a dead person. Doctor told the policeman that he's been like this for the past year. Subscribe for the next part.